Hello ladies and gents, I am E15 and welcome back to From the Depths Nother Neter, the community campaign. To begin with, we are in the designer and I want to congratulate Skullsploder with their absolutely fantastic Condor wing here. This was instrumental, I believe, in our victory against the Onyx Watch, with the absolutely fantastic number, particularly the bombers there, utilising all of their mines, and that's to disable the shields and essentially weapon systems of the Onyx Watch, allowing us to actually defeat them, because otherwise it was just going to take a really long time. However, I haven't received the tier 3 from Skullsploder yet, so Kneecap's Rain is still going to be functioning, and it is doing a good job if I don't spawn it in crashing distance of a friendly. Otherwise, we are going to be bringing back the Hertzmeister's Phoenix Interceptor. I think I did kind of remove that a little bit too early. It did an absolutely brilliant job. It essentially lasted longer than a lot of the tier 2 designs in that same battle. So yeah, I'm going to be keeping hold of this for a while in the Cannon Fodder Force. The same goes for the submarine, by damn it. Was it the Aachen submarine? Let's just double check that. Yes, WSS Aachen. This one here. This is also going to be redeployed as well in the Cannon Fodder wing. To join those two craft, we're going to be bringing in the Brunhild. Not the Brunhild Mark II, but the Brunhild from the Shortest Viking. It's very similar to the Brunhild Mark II, though I don't believe it has the lambs or the same level of shielding. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same in terms of the weapon systems and motion. But without the shields and the lambs, I have a nasty feeling that it is going to take an absolute colossal amount of damage against any of the APS armed Onyx Watch. For some of the other designers, we're going to be swapping over to another tier 2. From Elwinner, we were utilising the Tesla rotor, and we're going to be swapping that to the medium Berthas. So this is a much more standard style of ship here. It has some rather big guns on these here, more of a casemate style there. And it looks really rather impressive going across the ocean there. Let's actually just send it against a friendly warden of the Onyx Watch. It also does have LAM systems there, which is brilliant because that's going to help keep itself protected. Since LAM systems are very important to at least reduce the amount of damage we're taking from the Onyx Watch. Not all craft have got it, but those which do are being able to survive a lot longer against the bombardment. Still, even when a target does get with the LAM systems, unfortunately the Onyx Watch are doing a really good job of just breaking through regardless, as they have a lot of shells coming towards us. We just don't have the blocks or the actual budget to get a fully defensive system. Still, medium Berthas has a nice system there, so it should do us well. Speaking of LAMs, the ones on the Arethusa, I'm trying to work out as upgrading to try and make it tank a bit more damage. Unfortunately, it isn't doing that particularly well at the moment. The reason that is relevant is that Bacon, we're changing from the Battle Barge to the Skirmisher. This is a smaller design, but that means it is smaller number of blocks, which means that the Arethusa is likely to be targeted as the first target every battle. Now, the Battle Barge is an awesome concept, but it does seem that unfortunately it isn't going to do very well. The Skirmisher here, though, should be a little bit more interesting. It has a LAM system and a big laser turret there, and seems to be operating on a slightly bobbing PID system. That's quite good because that does mean that it should help it avoid a lot of attacks while the enemy just try and target at the wrong point. Though doesn't look like the LAM system is necessarily strong enough to take out the crams there, though it was just a bit unfortunate. Hopefully it will actually orbit a little bit further away, because going in that close to the Onyx Watch, as you can see, is a really bad idea. It managed to repair itself and get itself back functioning, but no, that is... I was warned that the skirmisher was a bit of an old design and not particularly fully operational and definitely needed tweaks. These are probably those tweaks that Bacon was mentioning. Well, hopefully it won't get targeted too much and it will do as a decent another laser craft for our forces. If it doesn't operate too well, then it is a bit of a shame, but I have got a tier 3 in mind as a combination design from Bacon and Sovereign Cataclysm, which I'm hoping to spawn in soon. The other upgrade change design is the Seahog by Arboris. This is the version 2, and essentially we have a much bigger railgun at the base here, and this is I believe it is just a big sabot round rather than the previous squash round. Let's see it line up and take a shot at the Warden here and see what sort of damage it performs now. Okay, looks like the railgun is now charging up and is ready to fire. There you go, shot straight through, and yeah, that is punching straight through a good number of blocks. I can't even find where. Yeah, it's doing a good amount of damage to the Warden there. Breaking through. It doesn't look as impressive as the Hesh, but we are making a good number of beams just fall out of the craft. And if this does hit some vital components, look at it, just losing beams and beams of metal. If that hits a vital component, we can actually core AI quite easily or detonate internals like ammo caches and things. And that is a very, very useful thing. So I think it might be a bit more utility. We have quite a few squash rounds in other forces, so I don't think we'll be lacking on that front. For new designs, we have 4 coming into play. The first one is from Achtung, and that is the Euphrates River Monitor. This again is not the main one. The main one is planned to be these river gunboats rather than the monitors. Though, as can be seen, the gunboats are a little bit more expensive and so cannot be afforded in the tier 2 slot. But this sort of idea with the gunboats is where we're going to be going for. The reason for that is, unfortunately, a fairly significant weakness of these monitors has been identified, and that is fleet combat. They are very resilient to one-on-one fighting, because when they face their target, I shall spawn it in correctly, when they face their target, they have a very huge amount of armor at the front, and also the turret itself is also very heavily armored at the front. But in a fleet situation, they can end up getting shot at from the rear, which is considerably weaker armed and armoured there, and that will cause it a bit of a problem. It is a smallish design, so hopefully it will do decently well, but there is just that concern that it doesn't work as well in fleet situations because it is more designed, as I said, as a one-on-one brawler, and it is good at that. You see the turrets there pinging off shells quite happily in their own right, but if it takes a hit through the rear of the turrets, bye-bye really. The next new design is coming from Sovereign Cataclysm, and I still haven't corrected the name of the file there, but never mind. And that is the SC Space. A fairly simple sort of turret on a boat, but a fairly big turret on the boat. They are, big shells, so they are squash, HE body. So yeah, it's going to be probably a big Gatling belt feeds, I'm guessing. Sovereign genuinely uses belt feeds. Yeah, that's very big number of belt feeds. I haven't saved it loaded. God. To be honest, this looks like it has been designed by taking one of the main turrets of one of their battleships and then just slapping it on a hull and putting PID buoyancy settings on it. Which could very well be how it was designed. This does look a little bit vulnerable to a hit from torpedoes, making the whole turret pop. But I don't think we have to worry too much about that from the Onyx Watch. It's going to be more likely our allies which do that sort of thing to us. Right, so I've just saved the blueprint with shells loaded in the guns, because I just want to see what this sort of thing does to the Warden. And that is a very rapid fire, triple barreled. Yeah, this is going to do an amazing amount of damage. And this is why I wasn't so worried about losing one of the Hesh guns from Arboreus' Seahawk, and also the Alwina's more penetration gun from the helicopter, because yes, we've got designs like this which are just going to completely mess up all the internals, just generally in terms of Hesh and squash rounds there. So yes, a very nice idea, good high rate of fire, and hopefully its low profile will keep it very safe, because it doesn't look like it has much in the way of active defences, and with that number of belt feeders it is a bit of a powder keg. For mainfall we have the DD-59 Voltron. It is just slightly over the tier 1, but it is definitely a tier 2. And ooh, it's interesting. The PID system, and that looks like it's a bit of a brutal Gatling gun there. 200mm, probably inertial frag in a gun that size. Yeah, so this is going to do pretty nasty things to the Onyx Watch, and also help us defeat those very, very irritating shields which we've been facing a lot of. Just hope it's going to be able to stay a low enough profile for it to not get too shot up before it is able to unload the majority of that damage. Because when it does do the damage, it does a very nice amount. Because this is, Onyx Watches are not weak. They are made up of just pure metal, crams, and heavy armor. They are not weak at all. And it's just slowly but surely just churning through all of those blocks at the front there. The two lower guns have been completely destroyed, and yeah, it's now detonating internal components. The other guns are damaged, and well, they aren't inaccurate because they're cram. They can cope with 1 meter of barrel, but the shell speed is a lot slower, and because the barrel lengths are different on the guns there, the gun will be aiming them incorrectly if they are firing at the same time, just because of how the AI works. It likes to fire things at the same speed shell there. So I do believe that's going to do very nicely at trying to clear off some of the craft and hopefully destroy things like the Huskal very, very quickly. Well, not very quickly, nothing kills a Huskal quickly, but it will actually be able to do damage to it, and that is better than nothing. The final T2 we're going to be spawning in this episode is from Enderine, and that is the Brickling. We also do have the First Strike gunboat from the Onyx Watch, but the Brickling I think I've had around for a little bit longer. I'm pretty sure I had it when fighting the Deepwater Guard, though it has been updated since. So what have we got here? We have 2 guns by the look of it. An AP Sabot, Squash, and the EMP. Ooh, got a bit of a disruptor thing going on here. Interceptors. Yeah, so this is more from the Deepwater Guard, because as I've said previously, the Onyx Watch don't really have much in the way of, yeah, torpedoes. A couple of big derpy guns there. Nice amounts of the Hesh, and just when they clip through, blowing up the guns very well. The disruptor won't be doing much here, but it will actually help destroy those shields for us, because without the battle barge from the previous episode, we have almost nothing in the way of shield destruction, apart from the Condor Wing. Hence why it's been MVP. The final design is one of our new logistics craft, the ADEF Fleet Auxiliary. This is a design I need to work on a little bit more, and because it doesn't have quite enough fuel storage yet. But, as you can see, it has 1 million material storage. It has a full high efficiency refinery on board, and moves around at a fair pace. It actually moves up to 40 meters per second. This is going to replace those outposts, because this is a lot quicker, able to support our fleet, and has an absolute mass of repair tentacles, so it will be able to build up new craft very, very quickly. Though with only 51k fuel, I do think I need to improve that soon. Probably just going to have to slap on a ton more of these fuel storage tanks at some point. Maybe triple, or maybe have like about quarter of a million fuel. It's a very expensive prospect though, because that would basically double it to around about 50k design. Still, if that's needed for our fleet, then it's needed for our fleet. Right, so the fleet auxiliary, pull that in there, and this means it can actually replace some of the other designs in the vicinity, such as said outposts. So this is the new cannon fodder wing there. So now we're just waiting for the fleet auxiliary to build everything up. This will take a little while, I guess, even with all of those repair tentacles. Some people are interested in the strength of the enemy forces. So the Onyx Watch is currently reduced down a little bit with their economy and territory, and then here are the relationships. So as you can see, things are not going well with the lightning hoods or the white flares. Yeah, so we could end up having an early war, which would not be good, but that might end up happening. A couple of designs are not having enough resources to complete, so I've just scrapped them for the moment to just try and afford the repairs of everything else. I'm going to have to capture a new vehicle, I think, this episode to just try and afford everything. Okay, looks like the enemy are coming in. We've got a cannon fodder designs. That's an Iron Cross, Southland, 2 Iron Crosses, 2 Essens. We've got a couple of duplicates. I think Relics of the Past. I think this Relics of the Past is actually a set fleet, which is why it consists of the same craft. I seem to remember not giving the enemy any quarter, so we're going to send 4 divisions in, because I have a feeling that one or more of these other fleets is actually going to spawn in on us as well. It might not, and then we'll be completely annihilating this lot, but I have a feeling that that will be the case. And remember to spawn these guys nicely apart. A beautiful array of sail ships. It would be a shame if something bad happened to them. Yes, and bad indeed does happen to these poor little sailboats. Straight away they're getting shot up by our laser fire, which is actually stripping off a fair number of blocks, despite them being, you know, mostly under the water there, which is really quite good. Unfortunately for our laser craft, the smoke rounds from the hammer time have already struck and are covering quite a large amount of the body of the craft there. So the rain there is now trying to shoot through water and smoke. The other sailboat though has rammed into it and causing a bit more damage there. The LK-08 is doing a little bit better, taking off the sails and now pretty much disabling that sailboat there. The other rounds though from our ships, yep, they're doing pretty well, and now a good amount of shots are being fired at all targets. However, the AA cruiser is taking an absolute colossal beating. It's just driving straight towards the Onyx Watch, and it looks like the main front guns have been disabled, though one has just come back online. But it's just charging straight towards it and not orbiting, allowing all 4 guns to fire. And this is going to be a big major issue since it is severely reducing its damage output. And only now has it started turning towards the broadside of the Onyx Watch, which has severely limited its damage potential during this battle. The Inceptor and the Icon just about survived. They did take a lot of damage. The Rain did fine. One thing though, I think I am now going to retire the AA cruiser. It was just taking a big bombardment. It was able to repair most of it, but yeah, it was just taking so much. It was just driving towards the Onyx Watch, and the damage, as you can see, was really quite severe. So it's just not really optimized for against the Onyx Watch, and it is after all an AA cruiser. It's meant to be designed more for aircraft. It would have been a very nice addition if I had been able to spawn it in against the Deepwater Guard. But for the moment, it is going to be taken down for parts to allow us to spawn in some of the other designs showcased at the beginning of this episode. One annoying thing about those battles is that they did have a load of simple cannons in there. Oh no, One of the fleets got blockaded. I wasn't paying attention. The cannon fire designs, wasn't it? Okay, let's just try a slightly different fleet. So we've got the lasers, the new designs. Yeah, that should do. This time let's jump over onto the Voltron to see how that fares. Because I was interested to see how the simple ones did, but they did really rather well. Same sort of battle again, but this time with a slight air wing instead of the big guns. Yes, so the battle begins, and straight away the new little ships don't really fire. They started firing a little bit and just slowly advancing towards the enemies, and there we go. We now have the Gatling gun there from main forwards beginning to fire, and the cannons from Acton also firing every now and then. Still, there is a absolutely massive bombardment of broadside crams just flying towards our poor little ships. And yeah, if any of vessels get caught within this bombardment, it isn't posing well. And even with that nice heavy armor on the turret, a huge amount of damage has been sustained. But the main gun has not internally detonated, which is a good thing. The actual Voltron there, it's launched forwards again, helping protecting itself from more damage, and the Monitor as well is taking a very large amount of damage despite, well, it is being able to tank it all, which is good. I jumped down to try and capture some of these vehicles because noticing the very large amount of EMP blasts on them, I considered that it might be a good idea to, I might actually be able to capture them with just sitting on them. Unfortunately, the game had other ideas, and I got shot and killed. And by the time I respawn, get nearby, everything has been destroyed. These battles are annoying. They're taking quite a long time, not because the enemy are particularly difficult, but because they have simple cannons, and simple cannons cause a lot of lag problems. It's really nice that as soon as the simple ones armed with the simple cannons drop, the frame rate leaps up. It's quite bizarre. Let's move everything up. I think I might just send everything in against this tile, this mess of structures and everything. Make it a big, rather epic battle. But also capture us that resource zone. So I want to try and capture more than just one resource zone an episode. Let's attack all of these vehicles together. And yeah, it is a big battle, though we have a lot of forces this time in our favour. Despite all our forces, we are still outnumbered. So there's some very irritating sandbanks here, which could prove to be very problematic for us. One thing I did forget to do was check what the enemy is armed with. So they're waiting to spawn in quite a lot of forces. Iron Cross, right, okay, too bad. We have an Eyrie. Right, I was looking for something nasty. And an Iron Cordon, an Eyrie in the same group. Right, yeah, that's more problematic. Eyrie, Furnace, yeah. Iron Cross and the Eyrie, those two are going to be the main nasty forces in this group, particularly since they've spawned in together. And this is a colossal battle. The Eyrie and the Iron Cordon both instantly start firing towards one of the nice new little ships, and despite its LAM systems, yeah, the smoke disruptor gun has been disabled already, and look at the amount of damage it's receiving. A very unfortunate turn of events there. I was like hoping, yes, we have a disruptor gun, it's going to be able to do something. And again, a disruptor gun's unfortunately taking a very large amount of damage. The Space has been capsized and then takes a cram hit to the bottom there, causing the entire gun to internally detonate. So I try and retreat it as quickly as possible, and I'm able to do so really rather quickly, which is very good there. But yes, it is quite unfortunate it did get capsized. Still, the Iron Cordon is doing very well, being a real annoyance, as is the Eyrie. The smaller vehicles like the Telemachus are not so much of a threat, thankfully. But this Iron Cordon, those guns have now decided to target the Arethusa, causing it to list really quite severely. I'm just watching it now, and another few barrages smash into the base, breaking the main gun there and all of the flight components, meaning that this has been taken out of the battle, and even the ammo cache at the side has been disabled, so I retreat the Arethusa as well. For those enjoying this period, the Iron Cordon's main gun has been destroyed, and just look at the huge cavernous hole which is created when that gun explodes internally of the Onyx Watch craft. Just goes to show just how pure power that gun is. The Voltron is firing its main gun towards the Eyrie, which is good because the Eyrie has an absolutely huge amount of health and takes a real big killing. I though jump over to the fortress and manage to capture it fairly quickly since the AI is exposed after breaking through the outside area there. It's at this point that the Onyx Watch spawn in the Greenfield, a ship armed with absolutely tons and tons of simple cannons, which has massively slowed down the playback of this battle and making the whole thing progress incredibly slowly just to how laggy the simple cannons are. I do notice there how close the Iron Cordon is and actually jump onto that and help capture it, though it was my allies which take it out and not Rambot's, since, well, Rambot was just sitting on there when it was made AI dead, which is brilliant. Lots and lots of free materials obtained in this battle here. The Greenfield is taken out eventually, which just leaves the Eyrie on its own, and this thing is insane. We have loads and loads of laser fire, missile fire, cannon fire, and it's just sitting there absorbing the hits. It is getting hit constantly, not avoiding it, and I even try with Rambot to just try and speed up the process, try and take out some of the large numbers of weakened components to make it either fall out of the sky or make it too damaged, which eventually it does. That was a very successful battle. We did lose a fair few bits here and there, but we managed to capture the new resource zone. There we have got the 4th Army and the 13th Exploration Team en route to try and, well, fix that for us. Except we also captured the Iron Cordon. Though it looks like the Iron Cordon may have bugged out. It's not letting me do pull all on it. I really hope it hasn't corrupted my save. The last hour's worth of recording will have been lost. Let's power all that up. Send in the Fleet Auxiliary though. I say no real design stood out in that fight, though it was very, very slow. So it was quite difficult to see which were taking on the most amount of damage. The biggest problem though was the fact that we were facing an Eyrie. And Eyries are really, really, really difficult to kill, particularly because we're very, very focused on killing surface craft with our forces, which is to be expected facing the Onyx Watch. But the thing is that the Eyrie is not surface fleet. It is a very tough, resilient flyer, or hover. Might as well be a flying battleship, but it is certainly difficult to deal with in that regard. Excellent, we've managed to recover 250,000 resources with those couple of captures there. These cannon fodder designs aren't really about being cannon fodder, are they? I might just have to just spawn them in rather than... I was going to spawn them until destruction, but they're not dying, mainly because they are such smaller designs than other craft, the tier 2s, that the tier 2s are just drawing all the fire, particularly things like the Brickling. Also the Arethusa, both of which are really very volume intensive. Look at the volume of the Brickling. Very, very high compared to the other craft. Same goes to Arethusa, very, very large. Then these little things you see, the intercepts you, it's still within 3 digits. 2 Greenfields, Mules and Baileys. Pinnacle Winter's Glaive. Move that one. We'll just send this lot in to both of these tiles here, or to both of these forces. They'll clear out the resource zone and we can go capture that. In the next episode we will actually have another tier 3 design to play around with, which will be fantastic. It's a good fun one as well. Let's put the Aachen right close in. Same with the Brunhild as well, to be perfectly honest. I want these to the tier 1s to draw as much fire as possible. Excellent, looks like the Huskar hasn't spawned in first. Nor is Aachen. But it's good though. It means we can take out the couple of smaller craft, and then I think that's the 2 greenfields there to begin with. And that will speed everything up later when we take on Huskar. What are these? The mules. Ah, they must be like a little transportation thing, aren't they? And this battle is really, really, really slow. The playback on this is between 600 and 900%. This battle went so unbelievably slowly, and I had to increase the speed in playback here just because of how really slow these 2 large sail ships here, the greenfields, are, and because see the sheer number of simple cannons. The lag they create in the game is just horrific, particularly when recording. And as such, the lag is so bad, I'm actually going to remove basically all of the simple cannon armed craft, particularly things like the Greenfield and the Constellation, which are armed with hundreds of the things, from the actual battle lineup. This does mean though we might be a little bit short on the number of Age of Sail craft the Onyx Watch have, so there might end up being a few more duplications. Still, I'd much rather face things like the Huskar than these really annoying sail ships with all the simple cannons, even if the Huskar actually ends up killing us more often because the lag is unbearable. Having to actually fight this battle, which is really only a couple of minutes long, and if it was real time, taking around about over 20 minutes is just absolutely horrific to play, and the playback is still really fast. But at least now with the greenfields taken down, we're actually seeing the battle does look quickly, whereas at the beginning of this battle it just looked pretty much like normal speed, maybe a slight increase in speed, even though that was such massive increase in speed there. Still, the Tharlik is in a very good position to try and capture. It's having loads of EMP bombs landing on it, so I just get close to it with rambots, so as soon as the AI gets taken out, we capture it for even more materials. Excellent, managed to capture the Huskar as well there. It just gives us even more resources just to be able to repair, rebuild. Because I do want to actually start attacking on multiple fronts, because yeah, at the moment we are kind of stuck just attacking the one. We'll do, just need to build an outpost. That's our forces. Our forces didn't take too much damage. The annoying thing with that battle was the fact that there were all the simple cannons and just made everything just take so very much longer. The outpost is done. Fuel is a little bit of a concern, mind. We're actually doing alright on fuel. Not masses, but we're doing alright. There's another resource zone there, and quite a few weaker tiles here, and 150 is there, so quite a lot of enemy forces still to go. But I'm going to have to do that next time. So thank you very much for watching this episode of From the Depths Nother Neter, the community campaign with myself and a different. If you did enjoy the episode, please leave a like and or comment below, as it is always great to hear from you lot. Also, be sure to check out the Discord channel as well, as it is a fantastic place to discuss and talk about the designs being utilised in this campaign. But that is all I have time for, so thank you very much, and I shall see you next time. But until then, I'm out. Goodbye!